so you can walk in freedom. You can believe it and trust God for it. My parents had this choice when I was 2 years old. My oldest sister and I, we were diagnosed with a severe illness. And with that illness, and it was actually taking lives all over Europe, and then it was happening in the United States, and people were dying from this flu bug. And back then, in those days, 60 years ago, they really didn't have the medicine that they have today. And so there wasn't a vein in my body that they could intravenously feed me and restore me. I had dehydrated to the place where there was no hope for me. So my parents had taken both my oldest sister and I to the hospital, and the doctors gave them that report. My sister, they were able to intravenously feed her and get her all the treatment she needed, but there was no hope for me. And so they told my parents just to go home, get the rest, take Robin, my oldest sister, home with my other sister and take care of them, come back to the hospital in the morning, that I'll probably make it a day or two more, but that's about it. There was no hope for me to recover. And so my parents, weeping, took my sister home, and as they got home, my great-aunt, my great-uncle were there, and they had stopped by the little church on the way, and my mom and dad never went to church prior to this point in time in their life. They'd never been in church, never received Christ, and weren't followers of the Lord. And my great-aunt, great-uncle, they stopped by, grabbed the pastor in the local church. He said, sure, I'll come over and pray for that young couple. My mom and dad were 19 and 21 at the time, and as they walked into the house, the pastor was there, and he started to introduce them to the love of God, and that God died on the cross for them and for their sins, and they had a choice whether they wanted to live for God. And my mom and dad that night surrendered their lives to Christ. They didn't know what that was all about, but they gave their hearts to the Lord right there in our living room, and they surrendered to the Lord. And right then, my mom got up, and she walked over by herself on the side, and she says, God, I believe you're real. I've received you tonight. And God, if you will heal my son, I will give him back to your work someday. She had no idea what she was praying. It just came out of her, out of a mother that was crying and weeping for her son, weeping for his life, praying for God to heal. God, I don't know if you do heal. I don't understand that, but God, I give it to you. I believe what the pastor told me is true, that you do want to heal my son. 15 minutes later, hospital called. Mom answered the phone and said, listen, we found a vein in his body that we can intravenously feed him. Your son's going to make it. God heard their prayer and saw their tears. I have scars all over my body. I look down every now and then. I see them. I have one here or there. I mean, everywhere, my foot, all places. And I'm reminded of God's grace in my life. I'm reminded of what my mom prayed.